Send your wives to Starbucks. Send your kids to grandma's.
It's garage time. As you all know, March Madness has kicked off. Our brackets are out. Everybody submitted them. We had quite a few turn-ins. So it's going on pretty good. If you've been following the TikTok, we've been doing, 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah, updates, predictions.
Yeah, doing some predictions. As of now, I have finally lost 2. Mizzou burned me in the first day, and then I tried to call an upset this morning with UConn beating Florida, and I'll tell you what, 6-point lead, 4 minutes to go, UConn's up, and then UConn decided to quit rebounding the basketball and
lost by 2. Real close. My upset, as of the timing of this video, is still up in the air. I picked Oregon over Arizona. Still feel pretty good about that, but it's still a few hours until that game tips off. So we'll see.
And that's a 5 and a 4 seed, correct?
Yeah, so it's not as big of an upset as what you had.
I like the Big Ten. I like how you're doing that.
Well, I got accused of having an SEC bias. So
I
thought I'd look for
thanks
something
to followers, I've said SEC bias. I'm wearing an Iowa shirt, so you wear Texas stuff every other week.
Yeah, I took the Texas thing off. No SEC bias in this video. Shit, there's a flag.
There's a flag.
Oh, well.
So, but, March Madness is going on. First day of spring was the other day.
Yeah, it was nice.
And woke up to snow on the ground on the first day of spring.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't live in Illinois, just to give you an idea, the weather's all over the place. But during that 6-day stretch, we had 2 days that were over 70 degrees. Kids were wearing shorts, playing outside. Immediately followed by 2 days that we had snow on the ground.
Yeah. Had some tornado warnings in there, thunderstorms.
Everything.
Pretty sure there was a blizzard warning for a brief period sometime in that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing I hate about living here is getting 4 seasons in 1 week.
Yeah.
I want my seasons when it's supposed to be. If it's winter, snow, that's fine. It's winter. When it's spring, I want it to be about 35 degrees.
Right. Some consistency would be nice.
Yeah, But I guess we should come to expect this since we've lived here our whole lives. But
yeah,
I just don't want to wake up on the first day of spring and be all excited. Yes, it's spring today, and then it's snowing.
Well, it makes everybody feel like crap. I mean, especially people that have allergies or sinus issues.
Yes.
That constant change is just like, ugh,
Yeah, plus, everybody always talks about the seasonal depression.
Oh, yeah.
That's a major thing. When you have 80-degree days, you start snapping out of that a little bit, and then it snows, and you're right back in it. Trying to get out of that winter funk is a hard thing to do when you have this kind of weather.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like if that nice day comes, it's going to be like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Saturday rolls around, and there's snow, and there's cold, and you can't do shit.
Yeah. So this episode, we have our first guest of the podcast.
Yeah, excited for this. We've talked about it for a while. We've had several people reach out wanting to be on the podcast. We weren't doing guests up until now. But yeah, we have our first ones for this episode.
It's going to be fun. Be on the lookout. It will come later. We also have a new logo, and it will be revealed later this episode. So check it out. Be waiting for it. Let's get on to some unsolicited advice.
Yes, sir. All right, so our first piece of unsolicited advice, and I think that this is something you hear a lot, but maybe people don't listen to it a lot.
Right.
But, listening to your gut. Just that feeling in any situation that, something's not right, or this is the direction I should go. But you get that feeling in your gut.
So how often throughout your day at work do you have that gut feeling?
Not often. My job, I've learned to trust it because, there's a reason why they call it medical practice.
Right, exactly.
So my job, sometimes somebody can be looking at you. Maybe they don't have very strong complaints or something wrong with them, and something in your gut is telling you, there's something more here. That tends to be what I notice more than if somebody comes in and they have really bad complaints and nothing shows up on exam.
Right.
I don't really get a gut feeling for that, but sometimes you just get that gut feeling where something's off here. There's something more.
Like when you have a, for lack of a better term, a reoccurring patient always coming in with something.
Yeah.
Something like that. I can understand that. That'd be tough, hard to do. Obviously, all your schooling and your training, your job based on that. But I didn't know if that was something that ever my training said this, but my gut's telling me this. Like, I don't know how often that happens.
That happens a lot. Sometimes, everything looks good. There's no red flags. They're checking all the boxes. Their vitals are good. You don't feel anything. You don't heal anything on exam. But you just got that feeling that something's wrong there.
Yeah.
And I think you have that in most of your life in different situations. But yeah, it does happen at work, And I've learned that 9 times out of 10, if I trust my gut, it's usually going somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I go out to somebody's house. Like, we had some storm damage last week with these storms, and I went out to meet a couple customers, and I could just tell that, they're like, they weren't wanting to be sold. They were just wanting something fixed. Mm-hmm. My gut's like, hey, get away from the sales aspect, get into the helping aspect. And I think that helped me land a few jobs. Oh, this guy's not here to just be an opportunist and take my money. He's here to help me.
Yeah.
So follow that gut. For me, that was one of the things I noticed when we were talking about putting this on the podcast. It's like, oh man, like the last couple of days of the storm has kind of gotten me there. I also had a parent meeting for the travel baseball team I'm going to coach this summer, and I really needed to get some things out there. I wanted to say a lot more, but my gut was like, just shut up. You already said what you need to say. Yeah. You don't need to keep adding to it, keep saying the same thing. Don't need to reiterate it. I'm like, oh, okay, so.
Well, I think sometimes, we have a tendency, a lot of us, I do, to overanalyze situations. And the more that we think about it, the more that we turn it over in our head. Maybe we talk ourselves out of a certain direction, or we talk ourselves into a certain direction, where maybe if we just went with our initial reaction and trusted our gut, we would have been better off.
Yeah. I think the term they use nowadays for that's mansplaining.
Yeah.
I think everything I get told, I'm like, I'm overanalyzing. No, you're mansplaining. I'm like, whatever,
Yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, listen to your gut. It's usually going to save you most of the time, if not every time.
I think so. Yeah. If something feels wrong, or on the other side of that, if something feels right, you follow that.
Right.
And I think I've probably noticed that pretty often in my life.
Yep.
So.
All right, moving on to the next thing. Leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, so I like this. And for me, this has roots in baseball. I grew up playing baseball. We both coach baseball now. But one of the things that a coach said to me when I was little, and it stuck with me, is when we're in the dugout, leave it better than you found it. Pick up after yourself, sweep the dirt out, whatever the case may be. Make it look good when you leave. And that's something that I've carried in every team that I coach, whether it be pre-K all the way up into 12U. Every time you're in that dugout and you're on an away field especially, leave it better than you found it.
Right. And honestly, I like how you're putting this in baseball, but that goes for everything.
Yeah,
we go out to a park on a family trip, and I'm sitting by, and there's some trash next to the trash can. I'm gonna pick it up, and put it in there. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have a chance to do something like that, that's just good to do. It's good karma. It's good ethics. But I do like it. Being a ball player myself, and I say the same thing to the teams I coach. Pick it up. Oh, it's not mine. The other team left it. Well, we're gonna pick it up.
Right.
I don't care who left it. Clean it up, move on. It just makes you a better person. I mean, honestly, it comes to the shopping cart thing.
Yeah.
If you can't put your shopping cart up, well, you probably didn't pick up the dugout either.
Right. Well, and I think, like you said, it goes for a lot of things. We've both talked about how we volunteer a lot in our community, and I think that's another thing, leaving it better than you found it. Right. We noticed something in our community. We've put in time. We've put in efforts. We've volunteered trying to leave the community better than when it started.
100%.
And you do that at work. I mean, obviously, that's kind of a no-brainer. But when you come in and you do an appraisal, you look for something to be fixed, obviously you're going to leave it better than when you found it.
Yeah. Trying to fix somebody's house, definitely trying to leave that better. I think all the things you do and what NBH does for our community, that kind of comes from the same point with you. You're trying to lead people better. Mm-hmm. No, good topic to talk about. Like how it stems from just childhood coaching of baseball. It's so simple. It talks about as coaches, we say you're always building characters. Mm-hmm. And that's true. I mean, you're not just trying to make them the best athlete, but you want them to be young adults or young kids and mature them into great young adults. That's what you're looking for.
And I think that's so much better that's so much more to coaching than just sports. There's so much that you do, and that's what makes the good coaches. I'm not just talking about us, but professional coaches. There's a human aspect to that too. You're doing more than instilling knowledge and building skills. you're making them a better person. You're leaving them better than you found them.
Exactly, leaving them better. Yeah, I like that. I like the way you putting that in there. Definitely. Anytime you can improve a situation, leaving it better than you found it, you should probably do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of ways you can apply that in life.
Yeah. So. Like it. Good topic to talk about. Let's go on to the next one. We talked about spring being here.
Yeah.
So spring forward with positivity.
This one's hard. I think it's easier said than done.
100%.
And I think that we live in a society, and some of this is social media, where there's a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
And it's hard to change that mindset, change that point of view, because there's so many ways to go about this. People remember the bad experiences more than they do the good experiences.
100%.
There's that old saying that the squeaky wheel gets oil.
Yep.
People tend to notice more instant gratification when they're negative.
Right.
But is that the right reaction you're looking for? I don't think so.
So one thing I realized is when I get into a funk and I feel more negative, I check to see what my morning routine is. Mm-hmm. When the alarm goes off and you first wake up, do you roll over and check Facebook? That's probably going to make you negative.
Yeah.
Everything on social media, like you said, is usually negative anymore. So-and-so hates Trump. So-and-so hates the Democrats. So-and-so hates the Republicans. Mm-hmm. That negative interaction the first thing in the morning.
Right. Starting your day off.
Yeah.
Right there.
So you're probably not going to be in a good mood. That can be hard to overcome. If the first 10-second minute of your life or your morning is negative, you're probably going to be negative. So what I realized when I was in a funk, and I was in one, back in February when it's been a drastic winter, football's over, life ends as you know it when that happens. And I'm like, man, what is going on? I need to snap out of this. And I'm like, all right, what's my morning routine? Well, I make a habit of not checking my phone until I've already eaten breakfast.
Yeah.
So I get up, shower, get my clothes on, go downstairs, do whatever I'm doing for breakfast. Now, that's a half hour goes by.
Well, and you're letting your morning happen organically,
right.
Rather than having something else influence your morning.
Right, exactly. Yes.
So I think that's a good thing. And I saw something that was very similar to that earlier, and it said something along the lines of, if you encounter an asshole during the day, you ran into an asshole. If you run into 20 assholes in a day, you're probably the asshole.
Right.
And it's kind of that same thing. If you have a negative opinion, if you're in a bad mood, you're bringing about what you're thinking about.
100%, yeah.
So that negativity just grows and grows and grows.
And that's the thing. So, when I go to work, I'm overseeing a crew of people now. I can't show up to work already in a bad mood.
Right.
Because then I'm going to put 7 other people in a bad mood right out of the gate at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And that is not my intention ever.
Right.
You got the same thing as a nurse practitioner. You got the nurses or some people under you. You don't want to go in and have your bad mood going off on that.
No, the whole atmosphere of the office can revolve around my attitude.
Right.
If I'm in a bad mood, it goes downhill quickly.
Exactly. So whatever you can do to get that positivity right out of the gate in the morning, I think will change your outlook on the entire day, week, month, year.
I think your mindset and your point of view is a very powerful thing.
Oh, it is.
If you're down in the dumps, it's a huge hindrance to everything you can do. If you're positive, and I'm not saying, the world's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? You're not lying to yourself. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Right.
And I think that makes a big difference in your everyday life.
Yeah. So another thing I noticed, and maybe people are probably going to notice this, but you get home at night. Mm-hmm. It's 6 o'clock at night. You haven't seen your spouse all day, and the first thing they want to say is, the kids are acting like brats. That's negative, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Can we hug and kiss and, hey, honey, how was your day first before we jump into this?
Right.
Or hey, your wife goes shopping and gets groceries. She's trying to carry them in. Go out and help her. Right. That's a positive interaction. You don't have to say any words. That's a positive interaction. But anything like that would also make the evening better.
Yeah, and I think it's a difference between, simple, but Wednesday. This episode drops on Wednesday. Do you wake up and you go, man, I'm only halfway through this week. Friday's never going to get here. Or do you wake up and you look at it as, man, we're halfway through this week. We're almost there.
Yeah.
And that just tweak in your mindset can make a big difference in your day.
Not to be biased here, but if you're struggling, it's only Wednesday. Oh my gosh, Garage time dropped this morning.
Right.
Instant positivity, baby.
If you like us, life likes you.
Yes, there we go. I like that slogan right there. So, well, enough talk on that. Let's get into something a little bit more entertaining for us. Well, for us in general. Maybe not so much as you guys, but let's go into the Chicago Cubs opened up in Tokyo.
Yeah, and this was kind of it's hard to wrap your head around if you're not a big baseball fan, because they went to Tokyo, they played 2 games. Those are regular season games, and then they flew back and continued spring training.
Yes.
So it was hard. And the games were on at 5:30 in the morning.
Yes, that was my favorite part. So I was able to watch 2 days in a row meaningful baseball before I went to work.
Yeah.
And then I continued to follow along on my phone while I was there. And that was I remember talking to some of the guys at work. They're like, oh yeah, the Cubs are playing. These games mean something. I'm like, yeah, but what's Monday bring?
Yeah.
Like, you're back at spring. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, you're right back there in spring.
And what sucks is, like, I have a buddy that took the negative outlook on this. Oh, man, we're already 0-2. We couldn't hit. I'm like, well, it's a week earlier. They played the Dodgers, and it's in Tokyo.
Right.
Like, I didn't expect to come out of here 2-0. Maybe 1-1 at the best.
At the best. But that's the other thing. You have the advantage of you're going back and doing a week of spring training. So what did you learn from those 2 games that now you can go pick up?
Right.
And one of the things I noticed right off the bat, it wasn't all bad. Obviously, they dropped both games. We're Cubs fans. If you're Dodgers fans, you have a much different outlook at this.
Right.
But the bats were pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
Which early season.
But like you said, like we're saying, we shortened up the meaningful baseball by a week.
Mm-hmm.
So how many reps of swinging a bat can you get in that next week to be ready for April 1st?
Right.
That's quite a bit there in my opinion. I was talking about there 700-800 swings at minimum.
And what better, would you want those 2 games to be against the Athletics, or do you want them to be against the Dodgers, the defending champs? Look at what the best have, and then take that back and barrel off it.
I'm personally, as a competitor, that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, okay, I know what they threw at us. I know how they ran the bases. I know what we need to work on. I know what we couldn't do.
The bar is here.
Like that.
This is where we're measuring ourselves.
Right, 100%.
So, yeah, I think it was a great thing. Yeah. Honestly,
I'm excited to see where the season goes. Obviously, I don't expect us to contend for a World Series this year, but I would like to see us make a playoff push. Whether it's just the one wild card game or something, but get us back to that point where we're competing.
Yeah. If we could do a, just some kind of October baseball,
right.
I would be game for that.
Nothing better than a Cubtober.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I love baseball.
Yeah.
At times, baseball is above any other sport, but when the Cubs aren't even close to playing in October, I kind of lose interest.
Yeah, football comes way sooner.
Yeah, exactly. October comes around, I switch over to the NFL if the Cubs aren't in it.
Yep.
So
obviously, 2016 was a different time.
Oh yeah.
I remember being more excited on a Thursday night that the Cubs were playing than what Thursday night football game was on.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, that's definitely a different thing. Like when your team is in it, you always have that more positive outlook on that. So, but let's move on to this Georgia football. 25 driving-related arrests since January of 2023.
Yeah, this is crazy. So just over 2 years, because this is March of 2025.
Yep.
So since January of 2023, they've had 25 players arrested for driving violations.
So that's one a month.
One a month, yeah.
Coincidentally, yeah.
And on the
other
other
side, but yeah.
Yeah, and on the other side of that, I looked up this morning, they've had 18 players drafted to the NFL in that time frame, which is better than a lot of schools.
Oh, 100%.
To be honest.
No. 5 of them are on the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, it seems like.
Right, yeah. Philadelphia's drafted a lot of them. But you start to wonder, how much of this comes back on the coaching staff?
Coaching staff? Is it the NIL?
The NIL?
These guys are getting cars that they never had before.
Is it the college? Is it an atmosphere issue?
Yeah.
Because when you look at some of these people, it's not the same people that are getting the arrests. Some of these people that got arrests went off to the NFL, they graduated, new crop comes in, they're getting arrested too.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's more than just individuals.
Exactly.
There's something going on there that's either not preventing this behavior or it's somehow encouraging.
Well, so let's pump the brakes on this a second. You're talking about kids that are 22 and under.
Yeah.
Kids. They've always been in a spotlight their entire life, naturally, if they're this good of an athlete. So is it a culture issue? Does Kirby Smart need to start getting up on his kids a little bit more? Is it the University of Georgia? Is it the parenting? Like,
Right.
What do you draw that line? Where do you start? You know.
Well, and we just said earlier, part of being a good coach is to develop a better person, not just a better not just a better athlete. But, you know, you don't want to say that all of this is on Kirby Smart, but I think as the coach, you have to be aware of this.
100%.
And you have to address it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't keep doing this. And it's hard enough as it is with the transfer portal and everything else.
Yes.
You can develop an athlete and he can kick it and go somewhere else the very next year. It's hard enough to deal with that, let alone have a promising player that you've invested time in that has had starting opportunities on your team, and he's arrested.
Exactly. Yeah, you know. So, you know, does money play into this? Does winning a national championship? Is that why we're letting things slide? You know, I guess I can't really say that we've never been in a position where this extreme, but I would like to think that I wouldn't put a national championship over how my kids are acting.
Yeah, and that's where you start to wonder, like, if you look at the whole picture of Georgia, you know, the success that they've had, the national championships that they've had, the wins that they've had, do you say, oh, you know, yeah, they're getting arrested, but look how successful we are. Like, we're okay with this overall.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you really got to look at this.
Yeah, you know, it's not just a bump in the road. I mean, these guys are already making a lot of money with the NIL now. Now they're going to go make more money in the pros. And if we can't fix this behavior before they get to that level, when you're in the pros, I mean, your career could go gone. I mean, Henry Rhodes, like, was going to be a standout wide receiver, you know, and he makes a stupid decision. Look at him. Does that get fixed sooner in life where he doesn't do this? Mm-hmm. You can't always control these guys. I get that. I totally understand that. But, you know, does there need to be counseling or therapy for these guys to go through to learn how to act with what they have in their life?
Yeah, and I mean the other side of that, not just looking at when they go pro, but we've discussed. You just made a point last week with the college basketball dunk at the end of the game. You know, you don't want this to go down into high school. Right. So not only them going pro, but these college athletes are role models for high school players.
Yes.
What kind of message does this show?
Right.
You know.
Oh, he did it. He got away with it.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, good topic to talk about. Obviously, a lot of different takes you can probably go. Or try to blame it, I guess. I don't really like playing the blame game, but
yeah,
you know, at the end of the day, these are younger kids. You know, so to hold an 18 to 22-year-old kid accountable for their entire action, you need to. But who helped them learn to not do this? I mean, obviously by 18, you're like, oh, they should know better. They should.
Right.
But not everybody has a good upbringing. You know.
And I think that's it. You know, and like you said, I'm not trying to play the blame game. But what I want to see is the University of Georgia saying, we recognize this. This is what we're doing to try to address this.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, let's stop the bleeding.
Yep.
So,
yeah. All right, let's move on to another Southern team, LSU. So the 2019 LSU football team now has 4 players that have signed second contract for their NFL career. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Derek Stingley Jr. The 4 contracts combined for $666 million.
First off, terrible number.
Oh, yeah.
One of them could have got $1 million less or $1 million more. Like, we just got to change it somehow.
Come on, Joe. That's all on you.
Yeah.
You signed the last one, I think. No.
I think it was
Chase.
It was Chase.
Chase signed the last one. It's all on you, Chase. Your fault.
Yeah, just $1 million.
Do you think this has something to do with the LSU culture?
I think so. I mean, you know, and this is like a huge comparison to what we just talked about with Georgia.
Yeah.
But you don't hear about this stuff with LSU.
Right.
And these players, you know, they come out of LSU and they're ready to play.
Right.
I mean, every single one of these players made a difference as soon as they hit the
on
NFL.
day one. Yes.
And arguably are some of the best at their position.
Yeah.
I mean, I know 20 teams in the NFL that would be happy with Joe Burrow. And I'm pretty sure all 32 would be fine with Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
Yes.
You know, and they just came out and immediately made an impact. I think that's a culture thing.
Yeah. So it's amazing you brought this up. So a couple of buddies of mine that I coach football with have a podcast, and they talked about it on whether Jamar Chase is a starter on every other team. I think they're actually talking about T. Higgins, but as you brought this up, like all 4 of those could go to almost any other team, and they're the number one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Burrow in the QB spot, you have maybe 6 or 7 that are above him. You know,
Right.
Justin Jefferson's a number 1 on every team in the league, 100%.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is a number 1, except for maybe Justin Jefferson,
Right.
and that's a toss up on the day.
Right.
I mean, it really is.
You'd be happy with either one.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on the scheme.
Right, you know.
Yeah.
And then Derek Stingley, who is he's a defensive back. I mean, to have his name in this conversation has to be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, not very often do you see a defensive back, a corner at that, get this kind of recognition.
Right.
So, awesome. I love the culture they did build in LSU. Definitely a lot of money divided up into 4 kids. Like, that's phenomenal. I mean, Joe Burrow bought a Batmobile or something.
Oh, yeah. And 2 of these players are on the same team.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like,
that's funny you bring that up. Like, so Cincinnati's probably going to break some records for the highest scoring offense ever, and then also break the record for the most defensive points allowed in the game ever.
They'll still finish 7-10.
Right, you know, like, I mean, they just paid T. Higgins as well.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati, so yeah, I mean, Cincy's going to be one of those teams that you're going to, like Detroit, back when they had Megatron and Stafford. Mm-hmm. This is a whole new brand of that, except more modernized.
And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, because all 3 of those players, T. Higgins included,
right,
they deserve to be paid, but they're really lacking a defense on that team. Like, they're missing a hole.
Yeah. You know, when I believe defensive end Trey Hendrickson is up for a contract, and I'm pretty sure the agent came out last week and said, if there's not a new contract, he's sitting out the entire 2025 season.
Yeah.
That's a big hole. One, I don't agree with that. Like, you and I could not sit out our jobs and still have a job.
No.
Yeah, so I hate that the athletes and movie stars can do all this crap. Totally different conversation, though.
Yeah, I mean, if I told my job I'm going to sit out until I get a pay raise, they'd be like, you sit out there on the street.
Yeah.
You're done.
You punch out here, drive down there, and sit on that curb and wait.
Right.
You know? So, but no, I like you said, with 2 different things. That's why I added it when we were trying to figure out that third thing to talk about. 2 different culture things to talk about what's going on, you know. LSU won a national championship a few years back, right?
Did they win with Joe Burrow? I felt like they were in the championship. Yeah.
You know, so 2019, 2019, they were on the same team then. So, I mean, so they raised a good culture and won the national championship without having to sacrifice kids getting arrested. Yeah. You know, so not saying this is all on Georgia or Kobe or any of them, but you know, it's just a different of what's going on there. You know,
you look at some of these other teams that maybe had success but didn't have the arrests and everything, and you wonder what they're doing differently. You know, look at Alabama, and I know that, you know, there's been arrests there, but not to the level of Georgia.
Yeah.
And they're all Southern teams. They're all in the SEC. But what?
SEC bias.
We're not biased. But you know, what are they doing differently?
Right.
And I think that's what Georgia needs to look at. You said what is your friend's podcast that talked about this?
Just an Average podcast.
All right, so we shouted you out, so you guys should return that favor, by the way.
Schisler, Casey, waiting for it, boys. So, all right, well, we have a video getting ready to play for you guys. We're going to take a quick intermission, and you can check out the new logo.
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Garage Time. You have seen our new logo, which we're now displaying on the TV. Oh, wait. We have some guests here as well. I forgot about that part.
Hi.
First guest!
Woo! So introduce yourselves.
We have to?
Yeah. Tell us who you are. You got people need to know which one you're with.
Well, I suppose I'm Kyle's wife, Crystal.
That's the first time she's ever claimed me.
I'm Becca. I'm Devin's better half.
Indeed. All right, so
Hi, Kyle.
they were here for the Garage Time Report this week, and we let them pick the topics.
We have no idea what's coming. We're just going to talk about it as they bring it up.
So we'll be just as shocked as you guys. What's the first one?
Oh, sorry. First topic. Casey Anthony on TikTok.
I didn't know Casey Anthony had a TikTok.
It's very new.
Okay.
And in these TikToks, she is claiming to be a legal advocate for people, mainly children.
That irony.
She's talking about how she's been a legal
Yes.
advocate since the court cases and not really saying, like, how she got involved in all that. And there are actually people following her.
But there are a lot of people thinking, shouldn't you be trying to find who murdered your child that you didn't murder?
So I'm going to guess most of her followers are going to be nosy people wanting to know what's going on.
Maybe.
I mean, is she giving legit legal advice?
That's the thing, though. She's not giving any type of advice. But she's getting on there, threatening to sue people who are claiming that she killed her daughter.
Is she gonna sue us?
I don't know. That's the goal.
So,
Exposure is exposure, right?
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly.
so
So,
are we talking about how we feel about this? Is that
Yes.
what we're going to talk about? Okay.
I know how I feel about it because I think she's guilty as
Yeah.
it's not. But what do you guys think?
I
Because
think
men
it's.
might have different thoughts on it.
I think it's ironic, of all the platforms and things that she could have chose to talk about. I think it's ironic that she's a child advocate.
Or
of all
legal.
things. Or legal
Advocate.
advocate. I mean, she obviously has some experience with the legal system.
That she does. She really does. So I guess what better person to listen to than someone who's already been through it?
I mean, this would be like having O.J. Simpson advertise gloves. Like, you know a lot about it, but probably a bad look.
And I've listened to many other podcasts and stuff talking about like the evidence and everything. How did she get acquitted for killing her kid? I mean, the woman went 31 days before
Yeah.
anybody reported it. It wasn't even her that reported her kid missing. It was her mom.
And she was out, like, partying and stuff. Like,
Yeah. Getting tattoos,
Yeah.
lying about her jobs.
I can say if I couldn't find my kid, most times it's like you have to wait, 24 hours to report somebody missing.
Not a child.
I wasn't sure. I don't know how long it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be that long with a
Right,
child.
24 hours for anybody.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
So my 4-year-old would wander off,
Right.
and I can't report him missing for 24 hours.
Right, because maybe they just ran to grandma's house. Maybe they just ran to her friend's house. You have to search all these other places before you can put out the missing person.
Well, then you can have more people help search, including the police.
Yeah.
See, so I mean, obviously she has some advice to give because she.
What?
stated
How to
that.
cover up your murder?
I mean, I'd
for your
follow
child?
that. Not for my child. You could have stopped at murder.
So wait, who are you murdering?
I was
Stay
gonna say
tuned.
I haven't watched any of her videos. I've only seen like
She'll-
people.
I think she's only posted one.
I've seen like people stitching it, but she doesn't have her comments on. I tried to even see if I could find her profile, and it pulled up a bunch of different ones. I'm like, I'm not clicking through all these because I really don't. I just was trying to even see if I can see how many followers she has.
Honestly, I've only seen one video that she's done.
So one legit video that she's put out.
Yeah,
How
and
long
she's-
has she had the account open though?
Not that long.
No.
How
But
many
she-
followers does she have?
I don't know. I can't
I
find
think
it.
at one point there was like 40,000, but again,
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Here we are struggling to make ends meet.
But
over
you
here.
know, everybody that's following her just wants to rip her to shreds.
That's the point.
I
Yeah, that's
think,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
one of
So what is she just trying to? Because in the TikTok that she posted, she wanted to reintroduce herself out into the community.
there was a
Why?
comment-
Nobody likes you. Everybody knows you killed your kid.
I think I saw a comment. Somebody said they're like that they know that she lives like. I don't actually know where she lives, but somebody lives in that town. And they're like, I wouldn't have known her on the street if she but now it's like everybody's like, oh, we know who you are now, because I don't know if I really would have known what she looked like.
Right.
If anybody out there wants to follow us just to talk shit or rip us to shreds, we'll take the follow.
We'll join.
I think we only have like 26 subscribers on YouTube, so if that gets up to 40,000, I don't care how it gets there.
Yeah, you can sit here and talk shit about me all day. We'll join in. I mean,
All right.
what else you got?
So the next one, you know how you guys usually talk about like certain bills and stuff they're trying to get passed. So we're not talking about Illinois today.
Oh,
So
all right.
currently,
Plot twist.
Dun, dun, dun.
So currently, Idaho is working on getting a bill passed. I think it's passed the House. It just needs to go to the Senate. That would allow the death penalty for adults who sexually abuse children aged 12 and younger.
Love it. Let's go.
Well, I mean, I looked into it, and there are other ones who have actually passed it.
Really?
and put it into effect.
Right.
I believe it was Missouri, Alabama's working on it, Florida.
I say Alabama
it
and
is.
Florida and Tennessee are all working on it, I think.
Right. So there's quite a few. And then my thought when I read this stuff, I said, meanwhile, in our state of Illinois, we're trying to get pedophiles to be closer to schools.
Yeah.
So what is Illinois doing compared to all these other states who are actually caring for these children?
Well, I mean, obviously for years, Illinois has gone the wrong way in just about everything.
Right.
But,
Right.
I mean, obviously you don't always just want to kill people, but having a severe consequence might help out.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to almost be on a case-by-case basis. I mean, what if it was... And first off, like, I am, first and foremost, I'm totally against sexual abuse on a kid. Like, if it was my kid, it would be very hard to hold back. But what if it was somebody who was mentally challenged? You know, like, you just automatically are like...
Well, and a lot of them, in the bills, they do address some of that stuff. But, so I'm sure it's not every case, but if there's somebody out there serially doing it,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's the right word for it, because serial killers. I
think
just
serial user.
offender, you know, if they're out there continuously doing this, then I think that should be a form of punishment for it.
Right.
Because, I mean,
Yeah, I think if it's something that happens multiple times,
Right.
you lose all hope of defense.
Right,
Like, you
exactly,
go,
yeah.
Oh, I messed up again.
right, and I'm sure they have a lot of those protocols in mind in these bills, but
Obviously,
I didn't
maybe
find
a
exact,
first-time
but-
offender, depending on how bad the offense
Severity.
was,
Yeah.
I guess, but...
Do you have any insights from like SVU about this?
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Oh yeah, back in the big SUV. We
Love
got
Law and Order.
Olivia Benson over here.
Love Law and Order.
What would Elliot do?
No,
He's
she's
not there
Olivia.
anymore.
Oh, Olivia.
He's on a different show now.
Oh, is it?
He left.
It's Benson. Well, a lot of the cases that are on Law and Order, I don't know if it's all of them, but a majority of them, it's like stuff that has actually happened in real life. That's how they keep getting more content to film about or script about,
That's
is because
terrifying.
of stuff that's actually happened in real life.
Terrifying.
It's the same
Gotcha.
thing every week. It's not much.
No, it's not. You don't watch it, so you can't comment.
Sorry,
on
we're
it.
getting off track here.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother comment.
You can go watch Virgin River. Let me watch my Law and Order, okay?
I will.
Oh man.
So did we hit that good enough for you guys? Are we gonna keep talking about it?
I don't know. Do you have any other opinions?
I mean, I like it. I don't know if it's gonna solve anything, but
I mean, I think it's definitely
I think
something that should be on the table, especially if, they're evaluated by psychiatry and they're like, hey, this is going to happen again. Or if it
Yeah.
does happen again, if they're a
Right.
serial abuser.
I'm almost game for like, what do they call it? It's almost like intentionally neutering the people that are doing this. These acts. Like
castration?
Yeah, but it had a different name. It's like a medication or something that they use.
Isn't there a foreign country that like chops their dicks off?
I'm game for that too, along with
the
anything
problem
else
is,
they could use.
it's not the dick that's the problem, it's the mental state.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to
Oh.
still
Yeah.
abuse somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Right.
could put down a rabid dog
I
or
will
something that
say-
does something terrible,
Right.
but we can't do it to a human that is obviously a menace to society.
I will say if
I
they're
don't know.
His
dead.
dick's probably gonna love you for sticking up for the animals and putting down the humans.
I will say
Subscribe
though,
and like.
I will say people that are dead can't reoffend. So
And we would probably have a lot less Hollywood actors.
Yeah.
Whoa!
I went there.
We went there.
All
that's
right.
a whole other
And we should
topic.
change subjects. The list of people that are going to sue us is just grew.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't name anybody by name.
Don't do it.
So
It's
we're
all
Nope,
okay.
we're good.
All right, we're moving on to the
All right.
next topic.
The last one we're going to end on is
Little
a,
lighthearted, funny.
Am I the asshole?
Yes.
So you have, I'm going to read you a little
Story.
story, and you have to determine if they're the asshole
Okay.
and why.
Okay.
Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Alright, gonna get right into it. Female, 25, has a boyfriend, 28, that likes to be called daddy. He likes to be called daddy. In bed while being intimate. I've obliged. This request is starting to creep me out, and I've decided I don't want to do it anymore. He's not happy with this and insists that it has nothing to do with the word. He just simply enjoys hearing her say it. So he likes to be called daddy. Since he wasn't budging on the issue, I told him I'd like for him to call me grandma. In bed, it's a compromise. He didn't like this option and said he wasn't gonna. It was giving him visuals that he'd prefer not to have. Like, okay, join the fucking club. Pardon my French. Anyway, the last time he tried to be intimate with me, I started to refer to myself as grandma. In the third person, as in, do you like it when grandma does that? Etc. And he flew off the handle. Said I ruined the mood. Made him feel gross, and I was being ridiculous. I think I proved my point, but he thinks I'm being an asshole. So, am I being the asshole? And why is she being an asshole if you think, and why not?
I don't think that she is being the asshole, because if the situation was reversed and she demonstrated that it was, it's not so much what the name was as much as you calling me this or me calling you this is killing the mood. I mean, she's being open, she's being honest. She used an extreme exaggeration to show that it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, if, I asked you to call me Ezekiel or something and you were like, that's fucking weird, then I would probably have to give up on it and settle for Eugene. I don't know.
Tune back in next week. So I guess, did she at one point ever call him daddy?
Yes. But then
she
she
didn't
started
like
feeling uncomfortable with it and
Because she
didn't want to do it
time.
anymore.
Yeah.
So she tried it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And then when she told him, he was disregarding what she had to say.
yeah.
And so she wants to be called grandma. Just because it makes, she's trying to let him see how she feels.
I'll take the different stance on this.
Is she the asshole?
Somebody has to.
She's the
So,
asshole. All right.
she already had called him daddy at one point. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She's taking a very extreme move of doing something, and he didn't agree to it the first time. So.
But she was being, you have to have an open communication, and you have to be willing to
100%,
compromise. So she tried it, didn't like it, so he should be like, okay, you don't have to do that. No, instead he's like getting mad because she doesn't want to, but
It makes him feel uncomfortable to call her grandma.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of things that you can apply this to in sexual terms. Like if you were uncomfortable, say I don't know, I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, but if there was anything that you did in the bedroom that maybe you gave a try and you didn't like it, you probably should communicate that with your partner. So I guess, I don't know.
Right,
I
so
don't think she's an
I
asshole.
kind of think he's the asshole
Yeah.
because,
I think they're being an asshole to each other personally.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, maybe, but
I mean, Daddy
Well,
doesn't
yeah.
mind.
if you don't like, calling me grandma, why? And I don't like calling you daddy. Why force me to call you daddy,
Yeah.
but me not call?
and it's like because I think he's getting angry about it. Like,
right.
You know what would have been hilarious though? If she took this path and he was into it. Like, call me grandma, and he's like, fuck yeah! Oh!
do not call me that.
I just unlocked a new kick, and she's like,
Hey,
God.
grandma!
No.
She's like, oh man, now I have to call him daddy, and he keeps calling me grandma. This is weird.
You go
He's
shopping
gonna-
in the supermarket. Hey, grandma, what's up?
He's gonna find a walker to bring home.
Totally.
Role
I
play
just
with
want you
that.
to wear this wig.
Yes.
Anime
Some
move.
glasses.
Yeah, the glass.
The glasses. You gotta have it. And you gotta get the old nightgown.
Go buy. They're called
gosh.
mimos.
What?
They're called mimos.
Hey, they have pockets now. I'm just saying.
Look,
Hey.
halfway through, can you stop and offer me something to eat, and then get mad if I say no?
Don't make me a sandwich, grandma.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
Oh, I think that's what we got.
Well, that was an interesting new twist to the Grind Time Report.
yeah, got our first guests, and I think that went okay.
Don't call your wife Grandma.
Unless she's into that.
We'll let you know next week.
Don't.
All right.
No, they
Well, before they get off air, these are the ones that are on our side, helping us with this podcast, giving us advice that we don't want, unsolicited advice, if you will, that we give everybody every week.
In fact, this is worth telling. So you notice that right now the lighting is a little bit different. We spent the last 25 minutes before this guest session so that they could tell us how the lights looked better.
I have pictures.
Yeah. 25 minutes. No
And,
exaggeration.
25 minutes, a ladder, a staple gun, some
Garbage
trash
bags,
bags.
blankets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fun times.
Until next time,
Alright.
guys. And there will be a next time.
We will be back.
Hey, as you guys got to see, we had a guest on this week. Thanks to our wife for coming in and hanging out with us.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, went way better than I thought it was going to.
I was kind of worried about it.
I didn't know what they were going to be bringing to us. I was like, ah, man, like I don't have time to research anything or put together thoughts. Like it's just going to come at me, and I think it went pretty well, you know.
Yeah, and they got honest reactions. I mean, what you guys saw, honestly, Scout's Honor, we had no idea what they were going to talk about.
Yeah.
That was just 100% on the fly.
Took me back a little bit with the Casey Anthony thing because I haven't followed it too much, but
Yeah.
you know that's the way it works, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think that's something maybe we'll do with future guests is have them give us what we're going to do the reports on and go from there.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Let's move it on over to what were they thinking. Kyle has brought up a very interesting thing.
So, as Becca mentioned earlier, we've talked a lot about laws and things in this section, and we wanted to try to find something that was more lightheaded, but also what were they thinking? And so the Baltimore Orioles, they have this AA affiliate in Chesapeake, and they changed their logo and the name of their team, so they will now be the Chesapeake Oyster Catchers. Doesn't sound too bad, but when you look at their logo, what were they thinking? I mean, you look at this. I'm going to say what's on everybody's mind. This looks like a vagina.
It does.
Like,
It does. Why do you want to be an oyster catcher?
yeah. And
So where is the AA affiliate at? Where's their stadium located?
they're in Chesapeake, so they're kind of on the bay.
On the bay, so that's why they're okay.
And at first, the oyster catchers, they were going to be a bird, like catching oysters. And then they did this, and it's like, oof.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, definitely a good thing to talk about because, as you said, you know, it's looks like a vagina.
It does.
You know?
And right where the baseball is at on this logo, like, speaking as a guy, I'm never going to be able to find that baseball.
Yeah, that little thing, I don't know what that is.
Where's that at?
Yeah.
But also, I don't know. So this came just after the MLB had a little fuck up where they released those hats. Did you see in like the hat said Texas, and instead of the X there was a giant letter that said T, and they were terrible looking. Texas's ended up saying like Tatas, and there was another one that was kind of wrong. They pulled all the hats from the shelves, said oops, we messed up. And then immediately after that, you have a AA affiliate pulling this.
Yeah.
And some of the minor league teams are hilarious. Like,
Right.
honestly, I love the logos. I love the names
Yeah.
of some of these teams. But I don't know how you put this logo on a shirt or a hat.
So, do the Savannah Bananas have a reflect on the minor league system right now? They're goofy. They're out there having fun. People are paying more money to go watch this than they are minor league baseball.
More than Major League.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I just saw something the other day where the Savannah Bananas sold out Raymond James Stadium. Is that still what it is? Tampa Bay Stadium?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
So
way,
they
yeah.
sold out that whole stadium, and then there was an opening day for, might have been the Tampa Bay Rays. That they're not sold out yet, and it's a smaller crowd.
Right.
So yeah, I mean
So does something like this have an effect on minor league teams trying to do something goofy to bring in more fans?
I mean maybe because there is a part of the population that would absolutely wear a hat with this logo on it,
Right.
knowing that it looks like a vagina.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it's a baseball team.
Yeah.
No, they're gonna play stupid. They're gonna do whatever they gotta do."
Right.
So, I not a fan of the logo. Not a fan of the name either. Hate that oyster catcher. Like, what is that? Like,
It's a lot.
Could it just be the oysters?
Right.
Like, could we just left it there? Like, why do we have to go to the catcher part and not that? And I think a bird diving into the water to catch these things would look just as silly.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel like baseball.
Oh, 100% not. I mean,
And you also, a lot of the minor league teams, their names fit somewhat with the major league teams.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
you have the
Iowa Cubs.
the Iowa Cubs, you have the Smokies, you have, all of these people that kind of feed into the other one. And I guess on one hand you had the Orioles and you had a bird for the oyster catchers, but this ain't a bird.
It's a bird. I've never seen it.
Sure. I haven't seen it enough.
All right, well, enough of that one. Let's move on to the next one. It's a little bit more controversial. So, a New York coach at the end of a game was caught on video pulling a female player's hair.
All these seniors for an outstanding career. Congratulations as well to Coach Zulo. Came out of retirement to coach this Falcons team. 2 state championship appearances in 2 seasons. I think that's pretty good, Tim.
The big question
Female player's hair.
is
Yeah.
And not like trying to be nice. It was.
Oh yeah, not playful at all.
Yeah, it was a very hurtful way, and basically was telling the player to quit crying.
Yeah, like she was crying. She was a senior. Because I looked into this a little bit. She was a senior. They had just lost 43-37, and she's sitting there crying. It's the end of her season. She's a senior. She's moving on to God knows what else. And this coach comes up, and we'll play this video. This coach walks up, and he grabs her hair and pulls her back and just lays into her.
Right.
And this was a high school kid.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, we talked about a negative here, but I want to look at the positive. If you watch the video, there is a teammate standing up for her.
There is.
And
yes.
that is awesome. Like,
all these
congrats
seniors
to you.
for an outstanding career. Congratulations as well to Coach Zulo. Came out of retirement to coach this Falcons team. 2 state championship appearances in 2 seasons. I think that's pretty good, Tim.
the big question
like,
is
congrats to you, whoever you are, for doing this. That takes a lot of guts to stick up to an adult at that level.
For sure. And I don't know if the teammate was a senior. Like,
Right.
imagine if she was a sophomore or a junior,
Yeah.
and the coach was fired. But she didn't know that at the time.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
she just sacrificing the future of her career because she stood up to this coach?
Right. I remember when I saw the video, I didn't know what to say. I was just like flabbergasted that it didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
is this a real thing?
Well, we watched it before filming this last night. We were watching March Madness, and you pulled up that video on your phone. It was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And this guy, he's not just some run-of-the-mill coach.
No.
He's in the New York State Hall of Fame for
Yes.
baseball coaches.
Yes.
He won a title back in 1987. But what the hell? And they tried to put a spin on this. I guess in some way he's related to the player. She's like his great niece or
Great
something
niece
like
or
that.
something. Yeah.
But still not okay.
No. So, that's a great niece. You have a daughter playing. So, if you're related to this coach, you're still storming down there to beat his ass.
Oh, for sure. Like, I can't imagine being a parent and seeing this happen, whether it was your kid or not.
Right.
I mean, we again, we don't mean to come back to this, but it's such a big part of our life. We're both coaches. As the other team's coach, if you see this, do you get involved?
Oh, I would be like, what did I just witness? You know, I would be
There's
over
no-
there. Yeah, there's no point for this.
No.
We're supposed to be making the lives of our young athletes, of our students, of our kids that we're coaching or trying to help groom way better, and this is not how you do it.
No. And I read, because again, we try to think about actually what were they thinking, and there's no thought process here.
Right.
But the son of the coach came out and said, well, he lost his wife last year to cancer. She was his biggest fan, biggest supporter, all of that stuff. Almost trying to put a spin into what might have been going on, but it's still not okay.
Okay, so we know where his mind was at, but you got to leave those emotions at home, man.
I mean, you put hands on a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimate crossing the line.
And that goes with the thing of, like, if you're a coach, you have to leave your personal level, your work level, outside of all that to coach these kids.
Right.
Because they don't care what BS is going on in their life. I mean, I'm sure his players rallied around him for losing his wife.
I'm sure.
That's just good kids and good ethics and morals, but they don't need to be treated like this just because you're emotional.
No, and it we've both yelled at a kid.
Yeah.
It happens. Every coach that is and I'm not talking pee-wee. I didn't yell at a 3-year-old like,
Right.
pick up the damn bat. But, a teenager, we've
Right.
lit into him when it has to be. But this is too far.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, so let's say this. I coach high school football. And if this happened to one of my players, I would probably get up to him a little close and be like, hey, save it for the locker room. Don't do it out here.
Yeah.
Don't show everybody your vulnerability. Which nowadays a lot of people are like, no, that's good to show that. That's a good sign. But there's a time and place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now her actions and her emotions don't make her need to be justified this way. Like, he's in the wrong 100%. But there's so many different ways they could have went about this if you didn't want a player crying on the court.
And I don't know really where it came from. She didn't have a bad game. She scored like 12 points.
Yeah, 12,
it was a close game.
Yeah.
It was, I think, the championship or pretty close to
Something
it.
like that, yeah.
I mean, and as a coach who has probably played with this girl all 4 years of high school,
Right, 100%.
you see her crying, and instead of walking up, patting her on the back, giving her a hug, which I know you can't really do, grown man, high school girl,
Right.
but some sort of comfort, you pull her hair.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Didn't like it, don't care for it. Surprised that he didn't get his ass whooped by somebody.
Honestly, is there a situation where somebody presses charges?
I mean, you couldn't fault a parent.
He put hands on her.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
I mean,
There's a lot more charges being pressed for way less.
right. Yeah.
So, I don't like it at all. I think it's a bad look on coaches, anybody that's got anything to do with kids in general. I mean, it's a bad look for everybody. Like, we're not looking to do this. Now, as a coach, do I have more forms to fill out about proper conduct with a kid because some other coach decided to be wrong? Like,
sensitivity training.
yeah.
Right.
So not a good look for anybody. Definitely not for him. I'm sure the school did the correct thing. Probably fired him immediately.
Yeah, he's gone.
So that was awesome. They did the right thing on that. But shame on him for putting all these people in that position.
Right.
Like,
And you made a moment that she's never going to forget. Her senior year, losing that final, even worse.
oh yeah, I lost, and then she's gonna have some trauma.
Right.
So now if we can't just talk about losing a final and having a good game because, my coach grabbed me and was like abusing me.
Right.
That's a trauma. So that's how all these start. It's some little emotional moment getting away from you.
And it makes you wonder, and I don't want to put more into this story than there already is, but it makes you wonder, was this the first time? Was there something? I mean, he's coached since the 80s.
Right.
Is this really the first time that maybe he put hands on a kid?
And that's another point I've always brought up with the coach. Maybe it's not the first time, but 1987 to 2025 is a huge change in society, in culture, in everything. There's a big change from when you and I were in school to now.
Oh, there's a camera everywhere, too.
So, what worked in 1987 definitely doesn't work today.
No.
If you pulled this in 1987, you're not going to see the proof of it. But when a cell phone or a camera recorder sitting out ready to go.
Right. And not that makes it okay, but
Right.
nobody would have seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's everywhere. Like, you
Right.
just can't.
So, as a coach, as a parent, as an adult, as anything that's dealing with children, think before you do anything. Don't let the emotions get the best of you, and that goes for anything in life.
Yeah. There's 1,000 different ways you could have handled that before it becoming physical.
Oh, 100%.
So,
Well, that wraps up another amazing episode of the Garage Time Podcast.
like this episode.
The next podcast will actually drop April 2nd, so we will see you in April. Podcast drop every Wednesday, and as always, follow us on social media.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We've got an email set up. Those links are all available. Follow us, subscribe, like. It helps us out.
And if you guys think there's a topic out there that needs to be put in the Garage Time Report, email us, comment on one of the things, and see if that's something that we decided to throw in there. Because we're always looking for some ideas of stuff to discuss. And if we know what's trending or what is popular, maybe we can talk about that too.
Yeah, we're getting more interactions. People are commenting on our videos, good and bad, and we're responding. I don't think that we've shied away from any type of
Right.
comment or reaction. We like interacting with people that see this, so yeah, if you've got some kind of idea, let us know.
All right. Till next time.